So a few weeks ago, I said this. Then you have Austin Seibert. He's trash. He's garbage. He makes me nervous every time the Browns kick a field goal or an extra point. I hope they cut him and find a better solution. And there were a sizable amount of people, a significant amount of people, that passionately disagreed with that take in the comment section. So much so that I honestly felt like I had to reevaluate my decision. Now, honestly, I didn't expect people to come out against what I had said. Honestly, I didn't expect as many people to push back on that. I didn't know Austin Seibert had a strong fan base, in which he does. So when I threw it out there that I think Austin Seibert's one of the worst players on the Browns roster, I really didn't give it the proper amount of context and information on why I thought that way. So now this has me asking the question, honestly. Do the Browns actually need a new kicker, or is Austin Seibert good enough? Let's talk about it. Now, I thought it'd only be fair, since it was a lot of the people in the comment section of this video that had the disagreement with me, to kind of let their arguments be put on screen and for me to respond to some of them and explain my position on Austin Seibert. This was the top comment on the video, somebody objecting to my view of Austin Seibert, and then somebody added below there some context on why they felt that way, and they were like, hey, he kicked 100% from under 40 yards. Now, you hear 100% on anything, and you know that sounds really good. Like, oh my God, 100% from under 40 yards. He was automatic from under 40 yards. That sounds really good. And I really understand why a lot of people would see that and automatically assume that that is a super positive stat for Austin Seibert, and kind of shows that he has some rare ability and accuracy and talent. But if you look closer into what the rest of the league does from under 40, that becomes much less impressive. And here's what I mean. Last year, only 3 kickers missed a single field goal, just one, from under 30 yards. If you up the range from about 30 yards to 40 yards, then you see 7 kickers who missed at least a field goal from that range. But again, it's one field. So what I'm trying to say here is that if you're touting Austin Seibert's sub 40 percentage, it's really not impressive. It's not something that is abnormal. It's not something that is really significant in the conversation about, is Austin Seibert a good enough kicker for the Browns to keep? Because that's just kind of the baseline requirement to be an NFL kicker. The average from sub 40 for an NFL kicker is about 95, 97%. So it's really not anything abnormal that Austin Seibert is doing, especially when you see that, you know, he did that without really having an insane amount of attempts from either range. It's not as impressive. It's not something that is spectacular. It's just something that happens a lot every year, quite honestly. And it's just kind of a requirement of what you need to do at a minimum to be a kicker in the NFL. To me, this would be like trying to sell me on a running back by telling me that one of the things that he does the best is that he doesn't fumble handoffs. And you know, the biggest issue that I have with this argument, right, is that kind of putting it out there that he kicked 100% from under 40 as if that's something impressive is, one, kind of intellectually dishonest in my opinion. And two, it ignores that the most important thing a kicker is asked to do, quite frankly, is to make 4 field goals from 40 yards out. You have to make the ones from 40 yards in, but from 40 yards out, those are the bonus points. Those are the field goals that change games in the NFL. And from that range, Austin Seibert isn't particularly great. Now, from 40 to 49, he's not terrible. He's 75%. He's not awful. That's about league average, 75%. That's pretty decent. It's not anything to write home about. It's not something that would keep him on the roster, in my opinion, but it's serviceable. And if he didn't have a few of the flaws that I'm going to talk about later, it would be fine. He would be fine to be on this team, but he has some issues that make that not worthwhile. Because the real problem with Austin Seibert is 2 things. The first thing is that he has no range. From 50 plus, they don't even try him really. He kicked once, he made one, he kicked the other. He made like a 51-yarder, but he made like a 51-yarder but missed the other one. They don't try him from 50 plus because he just doesn't have that kind of special range, which is fine. Not a lot of kickers in the NFL have range, and that's okay. If that was Austin Seibert's biggest flaw, that he didn't have range, then I would be fine with that. I wouldn't be putting him in F tier. But the biggest problem with Austin Seibert is... Now, in that video, I said it makes me nervous when Austin Seibert goes out there to kick a field goal. A lot of you guys didn't understand what I meant by that, so let me, again, further explain what I meant. And what I meant by when I get nervous about Austin Seibert when he kicks a field goal isn't when he goes out for a 30-yarder or a 40-yarder or even a 50-yarder. It's when he goes out there after the Browns finally scored a freaking touchdown and goes out there to kick the extra point. Now, you could say, Quincy, you're just nervous because all kickers make people nervous that they're going to miss, but Austin Seibert, he's pretty good at it. No. That's where you would be dead wrong. Austin Seibert is one of the worst kickers at making extra points in the entire NFL by a significant margin. If it wasn't for a 47-year-old Adam Vinatieri, Austin Seibert would have had the lowest extra point percentage in the NFL, in the entire NFL. He would have had the lowest one, and it would have been by a significant percentage. 18 kickers in the NFL have at least an extra point percentage of around 94% or higher. At least. It's 18 kickers. That's more than half the league. That's the baseline. That's the percentage an NFL kicker has to do if they want to stay on a roster from extra points. Austin Seibert had a dismal 85% extra point make percentage. That's what he kicked. He kicked 85%. When the rest of the league at the bare minimum is doing 94, he's 10 points below that. That is awful. And when you consider that extra points are the most common type of field goal that will be taken in a game, especially if you have a good offense, you're going to be taking a ton of these. It's unacceptable. And missed extra points have real consequences. You could point out that somebody like Sebastian Janikowski wasn't great from extra points, but what was Sebastian Janikowski known for? His range. So what you didn't get from the extra points, he would make up with a 50-plus yard field goal that you would have never got with any other kicker. And that's the biggest issue with Austin Seibert. You cannot have range and survive in the NFL, but you better be very good at making extra points. And you can be bad at making extra points in the NFL, but you better have range to make up for it. You can't be both and be an NFL kicker. And right now, Austin Seibert just isn't both. Now, could the Browns theoretically wait for him to become better at extra points? Sure, but why? If you're the Cleveland Browns and you spent all this money on your offense, why would you waste time and potentially points on a dude who can't make the easiest kick he's going to get all game when you can sign somebody off the street who will be at least 94% from that area, especially when that guy isn't really special from long range? It just doesn't make a ton of sense. If the Browns were going to run some kind of grind them out, hard to move the ball offense like Eric Mangini had back in the day, yeah, it would make sense to keep a guy like Austin Seibert or hope he develops, or even invest in a guy with a stronger leg and take the hit on the extra points because you're probably not going to be scoring that much. But when you have an offense that has Odell Beckham, Jarvis Landry, Nick Chubb, Kareem Hunt, Austin Hooper, Baker Mayfield, and you're planning on scoring a ton of points, having a dude who kicks 85% from extra point is a terrible strategy going into the season, because those points are going to end up mattering. Those will be the points that lose the Browns momentum, that will lose the Browns games. And the fact that Austin Seibert can't make it up by bailing the Browns out with a long field goal makes the problem even worse. Again, you can be bad from range, but be dominant on your extra point percentage, or you can be bad at extra points, but be dominant from long range. You can be one or the other. You can't be both. And when you're both and you're a kicker in the NFL, your spot on the NFL roster should be questioned, because those are just two unacceptable flaws to have in tandem in one kicker. So if I'm the Browns, I would look to bring in some kickers to compete with him, because this year, if you're the Browns, I really don't think you can afford to have one of the worst extra point kickers in the NFL on your roster if that's going to be the case. Now, if Austin Seibert can improve that drastically by over 10 percentage points, he can stay. He'll be on the team for a long time. Not a big deal. Now, I think that'll bite you if you need like a 45-yard field goal to win a game in the playoffs. But, you know, if people are dedicated to keeping him and he can make extra points, I ain't going to complain that much. But if he shows throughout camp, much like he did last camp, that he's not going to be consistent from that extra point range, then he needs to go. Because you can't have a kicker on your roster that is 10% lower than the league average on extra points when he especially does not have the range to get those points back and bail out your offense and be that extra tool at your disposal. This dude is good from under 40 like every other kicker in the NFL, has no special range, and misses extra points. I don't get why a lot of people love him. Quite honestly, if I'm the Browns, yeah, I do look at different solutions for the kicker position because I do think you need to do that. But that's my thoughts on the kicking position. Does my clarification make this take more understandable to you guys, or are you still just as outraged that I don't like Austin Seibert? Let me know in the comment section below. But again, guys, thank you guys for watching the video. Don't forget to hit the like button, hit that subscribe button, and ding that notification bell so you can be notified. Again, guys, thank you guys for watching. Have a great day. Have a good night.